Imagine a movie that moves so fast, the characters are practically tripping over each other's words. It's just this whirlwind of wit, and it became, well, legendary.
Yeah, a total classic where the dialogue just snaps, Faster than any breaking news story, and everything feels incredibly high stakes, both work and personal stuff, too.
Welcome to The Deep Dive. We're the podcast that goes deep into stories that really shaped culture, looking for the brilliance in what we like to call public gems. Films, shows, from the golden age right up to now.
And today we are absolutely diving into Howard Hawks' 1940 screwball masterpiece, His Girl Friday.
Often called the fastest comedy ever made. It's this brilliant mix of sharp dialogue, crazy plot twists, and it really shows you that pull, that intoxicating pull of a life lived on deadline.
So our mission today, we want to unpack the genius behind that rapid-fire dialogue for sure.
Yeah, and look at the production, how they actually made it sound like that.
Right, and peel back the layers on the themes because there's a lot going on under the surface.
And figure out why, more than 80 years later, this film still feels so alive, so important, such a gem.
Exactly. And to help us, we've got a couple of great sources. We looked at an excerpt from a transcript of the film itself, the colorized version, actually. Gives you a real feel for the dialogue and plot.
Okay.
And also this really insightful analysis piece called His Girl Friday, Screwball Comedy, and Newsroom Farce. That gives us a lot of the behind-the-scenes context and critical takes.
Perfect. So let's set the scene a bit. The story kicks off with Hildy Johnson. Rosalind Russell plays her. She's fantastic.
Oh, amazing.
She's this ace newspaper reporter, sharp as anything.
Yeah.
But she's trying to get out. She wants to leave the whole crazy news world behind.
Her plan is, well, it sounds simple on paper. Marry this kind of straightforward, mild-mannered insurance guy, Bruce Baldwin. Ralph Bellamy plays him.
Always the other guy, Ralph Bellamy.
Right, and settle down at Albany, have a quiet life. She literally says she wants to be a woman, leave the newsroom behind.
But then there's Walter Burns, Cary Grant, her ex-husband.
Yeah.
And her editor.
And he is not having it. He runs the paper, the Morning Post, and he just cannot imagine it without Hildy. Or his life, really.
So he's determined to stop her any way he can. Keep his star reporter right where he wants her.
And the perfect excuse, the perfect bait just lands in his lap. It's the story about the looming execution of a guy named Earl Williams.
John Quaylen plays him. He was convicted of killing a black policeman.
And this is where it gets interesting and pretty cynical right away. The mayor, the sheriff, these city officials.
Clarence Kolb and Gene Lockhart.
Yeah, they're pushing for the execution just days before an election. And the film is explicit. They hope it'll help them win the colored vote.
It grounds the whole screwball thing in this kind of gritty political reality.
It does. And Walter's paper, the Morning Post, they actually think Williams is insane. They're trying to save him. So that's Walter's in with Hildy, the professional angle.
The perfect hook.
Exactly. So Walter starts scheming. His plans to wreck Hildy's departure and, frankly, Bruce's sanity, they get more and more outrageous.
First, he just convinces her, oh, cover this Williams story, Hildy, just one last time, knowing she can't resist a big scoop.
Right. Classic Walter. And Hildy, she's no fool either. She makes Walter buy this huge life insurance policy from Bruce, gets Bruce a nice commission, her little parting shot, maybe.
Or so she thinks, because Walter's always playing chess while everyone else plays checkers.
Totally. So Hildy, she's wary of Walter, right? She gives Bruce's cash, like $500 to Walter for safekeeping.
Yeah.
And tells Bruce to hide the actual insurance check, the certified one, for $2,500 in his hat lining.
Setting things up nicely for Walter.
Oh, yeah. Walter gets his pickpocket guy, Louis,
Aberman,
to plant a stolen watch on Bruce, gets him arrested for theft. Bruce's wallet vanishes too, of course.
Poor Bruce. He doesn't stand a chance.
Not at all. Walter frames him again later, this time for mashing, basically harassing this blonde associate, Evangeline, who fakes a dizzy spell. Back to jail for Bruce.
Kids are relentless.
And it doesn't stop there. He even gets Louis to kidnap Mrs. Baldwin, Hildy's future mother-in-law.
No way.
Yes, it leads to this wild car chase. Louis' taxi crashes into a police car. Cops go flying like oranges, as the film says. It's just utter chaos, all orchestrated by Walter.
So you see just how far he'll go. He's completely amoral, really. It's all about keeping Hildy, keeping the story.
And while all that's going on, the actual news story explodes. Earl Williams escapes. During a sanity exam, no less.
And he accidentally shoots the sheriff. With the sheriff's own gun.
You can't make this stuff up. Well, they did. And Hildy, the reporter instinct, kicks right back in. She sees her chance. uses Bruce's money, the money Walter was safeguarding,
Okay.
to buy the exclusive story from the warden. Walter promises to pay her back naturally with counterfeit money delivered by Louis.
Oh, Walter. So where does she put Williams?
This is the best part. She hides him in a roll-top desk, right there in the middle of the press room.
In press room. The whole place must be buzzing.
It's a powder keg. Then Williams's girlfriend, Molly Malloy, shows up, defending him. Later, things get even crazier when Bruce's mother accidentally lets slip that Hildy found Williams. Molly creates a diversion by jumping out the window.
Whoa. Does she survive?
Yeah, she survives. It's more about the distraction. And Walter, amidst all this, he's just cool as a cucumber. He distracts the sheriff and the mayor by saying he needs to impound his desk.
With Williams inside.
Exactly, leading to this big reveal, the capture. It's pure pandemonium.
So the climax.
Yeah.
Walter and Hildy finally get caught, right?
Yeah.
Arrested for helping Williams escape.
Looks like it's game over. But then, plot twist. The governor's messenger arrives. Pettibone, Billy Gilbert.
What's he got?
Williams's reprieve. Turns out that the governor decided not to take the mayor's bribe.
Huh. Politics.
Right. And Walter instantly uses this reprieve to blackmail the mayor and sheriff into letting him and Hildy go free.
Incredible. So he lets Hildy go to Albany.
He makes a show of it. But by now, Hildy knows she can't leave. She can't leave the excitement, the newsroom. She can't leave Walter.
And just when you think it's settling down.
Bruce calls. He's been arrested again, this time for carrying the counterfeit money Walter planted via Louis.
Perfect. And Hildy's reaction.
She's actually relieved because it proves Walter still wants her that badly. He hasn't given up.
So Walter proposes. Sort of.
He proposes a honeymoon, Niagara Falls, but then immediately pivots, hey, wait, there's a strike in Albany that's kind of on the way.
Oh my gosh. He'll never change.
Never. And Hildy accepts. She knows exactly what she's getting into, this chaotic, probably infuriating but exhilarating life with him. It's not a typical romance ending at all.
No kisses, no swelling music. Well, almost no music in the whole film, right?
We'll get to that. But yeah, it's a reunion built on shared mania.
It's just a whirlwind. Okay, so that's the plot. Nuts.
Mm-hmm.
But how did this film even come to be? Especially that dialogue speed and the gender swap.
Right, the behind the scenes is almost as interesting. So His Girl Friday wasn't the first movie based on this story. It was the second adaptation of a 1928 play called The Front Page.
Okay, I've heard of that one.
But Howard Hawks, the director, he had this bolt of lightning idea that changed everything. He decided to make the reporter character, Hildy Johnson, female instead of male.
Wow. How did that happen?
Apparently, it was pretty simple. During auditions, his secretary was reading Hildy's lines, the male lines from the play, and Hawks just loved how it sounded coming from a woman. That dynamic.
Just like that. That's amazing. And that one change must have meant huge rewrites.
Oh, massive. Over half the original dialogue got tossed out and rewritten by Charles Lederer. Ben Hecht apparently helped too, uncredited.
So they had to build this whole new dynamic.
Exactly. They added the backstory, the divorce, Hildy trying to remarry. That became Walter's whole motivation, getting her back, not just the story. And it created a totally different ending than the play, less cynical.
Interesting. What about casting? Cary Grant seems like a no-brainer for Walter.
He was cast pretty quickly, yeah. But finding Hildy, that was tough. A lot of big names turned it down. Carole Lombard, Katharine Hepburn, Ginger Rogers.
Really?
Maybe the speed, maybe the role didn't seem central enough initially. Hard to say. Rosalind Russell eventually got it, but she was apparently kind of upset at first. Felt like she wasn't the first choice.
But she nailed it.
Totally. She even hired her own writer to punch up her lines, make them snappier. Apparently, Cary Grant found that pretty amusing.
That competitive spirit again, which fits the film.
It really does. And speaking of competition, Hawks was dead set on having the fastest dialogue on film. He wanted to beat the record held by the 1931 Front Page movie.
So he just told them, talk faster.
Pretty much. He pushed for that rapid-fire, overlapping style. And get this, because multi-track sound recording wasn't really a thing yet.
Oh, right. 1940.
Yeah. The sound mixers on set had to manually turn the overhead microphones on and off for each actor's lines, sometimes 35 times in a single scene.
Wow. That sounds incredibly difficult.
Must have been. But it's what gives it that realistic, frantic feel. They even had actors use little verbal tags, unique ways of starting a phrase, just to make sure the key information cut through the chatter.
And improvisation, was that part of it?
Oh, yeah. Hawks encouraged it. That famous moment where Cary Grant looks almost at the camera and says, Is she going to do that? When
Yeah.
Russell does something unexpected, that was apparently ad-libbed.
Breaking the fourth wall almost.
Almost. And Grant threw in other meta jokes, too, like describing Bruce Baldwin, saying, he looks like that fellow in the movies, Ralph Bellamy.
Which he is.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
And when Walter gets arrested, he mentions his real name, Archie Leach, and says something bad happened to him.
Cary Grant's actual birth name.
And there's even a line where he tells Earl Williams in the desk, "Get back in there, you mock turtle," which is a nod to Grant having played the mock turtle in Alice in Wonderland years earlier.
Little Easter eggs for film buffs.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And you mentioned the music earlier. Or lack thereof.
Right. Super unusual choice. There's basically no musical score in the entire film until the very final fade out.
Why do that? It really amps up the raw feeling, that sort of documentary newsroom vibe. It makes you focus entirely on the dialogue, the pace, the intensity. Nothing's telling you how to feel emotionally. The words do all the work.
It really does work. Okay, so let's dig a bit deeper then. Beyond the plot and the production, what are the big themes here? The title itself, His Girl Friday.
Yeah, it's dripping with irony, isn't it? Because a girl Friday is supposed to be this, loyal, subservient assistant.
And Hildy is not that at all.
Not even close. She's Walter's equal, maybe even smarter in some ways. They battle constantly, intellectually, professionally. The film really argues that it's competence and brains, not gender, that defines you in that world.
So her wanting to be treated like a woman at the start.
It's almost like a phase she has to get over. Her real passion, her true self, belongs in that newsroom chaos.
And their relationship, it's definitely not your typical Hollywood romance.
Not at all. It's almost an anti-domesticity romance. Hawk seems to be subtly critiquing that quiet, suburban life Hildy thinks she wants.
He's celebrating the messy, challenging, difficult love instead.
Exactly. And Walter is. Well, he's terrible.
Yeah.
He's amoral, manipulative, he kidnaps someone. He doesn't change.
Right. Their reunion at the end, there's no big kiss, no embrace. He just walks ahead and makes her carry her own suitcase.
It signals that nothing's really resolved in a traditional sense. Their cycle of fighting and making up and chasing stories will just continue. But that's their dynamic. That's what works for them.
It's strangely compelling. Even small moments seem packed with meaning, don't they?
Yeah, like when Hildy offers Earl Williams a cigarette. He takes it, but he doesn't light it. It's this tiny moment of connection, but it also just highlights how different their worlds are, this fleeting gesture across a huge divide.
And the way those two plots, the Earl Williams story and Walter trying to win Hildy back, are woven together.
It's masterful. They're completely tangled up. The professional race fuels the personal drama and vice versa. The crazy pace keeps them locked together.
About that pace. You mentioned the words per minute count earlier. It's nuts.
It really is. 240 words per minute on average. The average American speaks around 140.
So it's almost double speed.
Yeah. And it's not just fast talking for the sake of it. It's orchestrated chaos. It makes you feel the pressure of the news business. The pace itself becomes like a character in the film. It immerses you.
And Hawks used editing to emphasize this too, right? Contrasting speeds.
Absolutely. It's really smart filmmaking. He'll show you these slow, almost language shots early on when Hildy is talking about Albany, her quiet future. She even literally turns her back to the camera, turning her back on her past.
Setting up the contrast.
Exactly. Then, bam, the gunshots ring out, signaling Williams's escape. And the editing instantly changes. It's all dynamic shots, lots of people in frame. Hildy might be obscured. The sound is chaotic. She's pushed into the background by the event.
Until she gets sucked back in.
Right, and as she gets drawn back, she takes off her coat, maybe symbolizing shedding that chilly Albany life, and she starts dominating the frame again. By the end, she's rushing out just like all the other reporters.
He even plays with time perception.
Yeah, using sounds from within the movie world, what they call diegetic sound, like sirens.
Okay.
And cutting scenes in a way that skips time, elliptical cuts, like showing gates closing quickly. It makes the film's world feel even more heightened, faster than real life. It all serves that feeling of relentless momentum.
Wow, so much craft packed in there. What about its legacy? How is His Girl Friday remembered now?
Oh, its legacy is huge. It's basically the archetype for screwball comedy. The witty banter, the crazy situations, the eccentric characters, the speed. It defines so much of that genre.
And it's officially recognized too, right?
Definitely. It was selected for the National Film Registry back in 1993, which means it's considered culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. Big deal.
Plus, it's funny. AFI ranked it number 19 on their list of the 100 funniest American comedies.
As it should be. And its influence pops up in surprising places. Rosalind Russell's Hildy was apparently a direct model for Lois Lane in the Superman comics and later adaptations.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
The sharp-driven female reporter in a chaotic news environment.
Exactly. And it's been remade a few times. Billy Wilder did the front page again in '74, but went back to a male Hildy, closer to the play.
Okay.
And there was that 1988 film Switching Channels with Kathleen Turner, Burt Reynolds, and Christopher Reeve, set in TV news.
Right. I remember that one.
Yeah.
Different medium, same basic dynamic.
Plus radio versions, stage versions. It just keeps getting revisited.
And filmmakers love it.
Oh, yeah. Quentin Tarantino calls it one of his favorite films. Jean-Luc Godard, the French New Wave director, apparently used it to teach filmmaking basics, even though he playfully criticized it for not differentiating between shots of men and women, whatever that means.
High praise, even with a critique.
For sure. The bottom line is the film just feels incredibly fresh, even today. It doesn't feel dated. It still works, still entertains. A true public gem.
Absolutely. So, thinking about it all, what does his Girl Friday leave us with? What's the big takeaway for, us watching it now?
Well, it definitely makes you think about that thrill, that pull of a career that just consumes you, even when you try to walk away. Is that where the real passion lies for some people?
And is the best love story maybe found in that shared chaos, that constant challenge, rather than, quiet comfort?
Yeah, maybe suggest some people are just fundamentally wired for that high drama life.
Yeah.
And trying to resist it, trying to settle down, well, like Walter might say, that would be the end for them. It wouldn't be authentic.
Something to definitely think about as you navigate your own life choices, right? The balance between that comfort and that maybe more exhilarating path.
A great film to spark that kind of thought.